Simply Dynamics, and welcome to our webinar today on our SD Data and GDPR Manager app. So just a bit of background, SD Data and GDPR Manager, it's available to download from AppSource, our extension marketplace, and you can activate a 30-day free trial once you've downloaded and installed the app. And just as well to be aware, on our AppSource page here up in Microsoft AppSource, we have an overview video, and we also have a user guide as well. And you can have a look at the overview video and download the user guide to get you started. So once you've downloaded the app, you can go to the setup card. You can just choose product activation, and you can enter your company name, email and address, and then just choose free trial, and that gets you started on your free trial license to use SD Data and GDPR Manager for 30 days. You don't have to enter any credit card details or anything like that. And then the next step would be just to choose the assisted setup action, and that will import some demo data into your SD Data and GDPR Manager app in your database. Okay, so just about SD Data and GDPR Manager, it allows users the flexibility to manage data security and data validation without the need to write code. The GDPR requirements are met in this app with giving you the ability to track any GDPR requests, and you can control any table or field. You can monitor them for GDPR requirements and log any GDPR requests that might come in. So first of all, we'll take a look at the data management component part of SD Data and GDPR Manager. And this is where this component allows you to validate, to set up rules on your database and enforce these rules on the data entered into your database without the need to write any code at all. You create these user-definable rules to validate your data entry and to keep your data clean. And you can also set up field level management, field level security using SD Data Manager. So, excuse me. So into the rules here, just see there's a number of rules I've just set up. We'll just go into one of the rule card here. So this rule here that we've set up, in here you define the table to apply the rule to, so you can select from your list of tables in your database. So this is the table that we're going to define the rule on. We've just given a description to the rule that we want to set up. You can have your rule is going to be evaluated when the record is inserted, modified, or deleted from the table. And on failure, you can determine whether you want an error to be raised or whether you just want a notification. So you can select that there. The condition is a condition that's set on the table when you want this rule to fire. So for this example, we're saying for table 18, which is our customer table, on insert of a record, so when a new record is inserted, we've no condition, it's just going to be purely on insert. We want the blocked value on the customer card to be set to all. So that's just maybe you're setting up a new customer and you just want them blocked, first of all, on insert. So that just allows you to do that. We go in and we have a look at one of our other rules. As I say, I just set up a few samples that kind of give you an idea of what you can do in Data Manager. In this one here again, table 18, the customer table, and we've just defined that we want certain fields that are required to be populated when we create a new record. So I just have it set here as modify because just the way the tables are set up, when you create a record, the first thing that's going to be created is your primary key, which is your customer number, and then Dynamics 365 just sees once you start entering other data apart from your primary key as that you're modifying it. So I've just said here for this condition, once the name is set, So once you've entered a name in your customer card, then just check and make sure that an address has been entered, a contact has been entered, customer posting group, VAT posting group, and mobile phone number. So these are the conditions. Once the name is entered, and your validation rule will fire then that its data manager, SD data manager, is going to check that these conditions have been met. So then just another thing just to be aware of here, another type of rule that you could have, say for this example on the item table. So again, you just select your table from the list. What we want to check here is that we're not going to allow everyone update the unit price on the item table. So here we're going to say on modify of the item table, if the unit price has been modified, so this is where we choose our security, and we're just going to give a message to the user that you can't update the unit price. So this is the different type of validations you can select from here. And we're going to say that we also have the ability to say that you can bypass this rule for certain users. So we just have a sample user here in my container database here that I'm using, that this user can bypass the rule. So in effect, I suppose what we're saying is this is the only user that can update the unit price. So that's how we would specify field security on field using SD data and GDPR manager. Something similar, I just set up another one just to show you again that maybe you don't want people updating the payment terms. You only want to restrict that to certain users. So again, you just set up a rule on the vendor table this time. Just give it a description. We're going to say again on modify of the table, we want to raise an error. And what we're checking for our condition is when someone is in modifying the table, we're checking if the vendor name has been set and the payment terms code, that something exists there for the payment terms code. So that's our condition. Once those conditions are there, have been evaluated, and someone starts modifying the table, it's going to validate that on the security that you can't update the payment terms. And again, these little messages here that are on all the rules, you can type in yourself into whatever sort of a message you want displayed. And again, we've bypassed a rule for a user. And then just the final rule, again, all kind of similar setup. You might want to set certain fields to have a certain value when some condition is met. So for this example, again, on the customer table, I've just set up a rule to say when the VAT business posting group matches an expression, so when it is equal to this expression, then what we want to do is we want to make sure that the VAT registration number is set. So they're just the 5 rules I've set up there. So we'll just take a look at how these rules would look once they're started, once they're validated and the conditions are fired. Okay, so for example, we'll go to the customer. We'll have a look at the first rules here. So we'll just go to the customers list here. So these 2 rules here, we had that on create of a new customer, we want to set the blocked field to all, and also we're going to check that certain fields are populated. So we'll just create a new customer. I'll just choose this template here. So we can see straight away the block has been set to all. We're going to put in a name. And then we'll see now that we're starting to get the error raised that an address needs to be entered for the customer. So our validation rules are firing. We can check here as well. We need to add a contact. And check again back up here where it's prompting us with the error. We need to enter a mobile number. Just tab off to validate on the field. And that's our rule has been applied. So it's set the blocked field to all. It's prompted us that we need to enter an address, mobile phone number, and a contact name. So that's the example of those 2 rules. If we have a look at the other rule that we had set up for our customer table, It was where the VAT registration number must be, there must be, sorry, where the VAT reg number must be populated when the business posting group is export. So we'll just go in here and we'll get a, like this one here, has it? Okay, so you can see there it's a blank VAT reg number, but the VAT business posting group is set to export. So if we just go in here and on modify of the card, tab off the field. So we get our error there that we set up that the VAT registration number, the VAT number is required as a VAT business posting group is export. So we can see that was our message that we had back here in the rule. So we will put in a VAT reg number. It should be 13, I think. Okay. So I think that's me there now with the VAT reg number. 10, 13. Okay. So that's the error there. So it comes up and it forces you, and you know that you need to enter the VAT reg number for that customer there. So that's our rules for our customer. Quickly, I can just show you the ones for the vendor. The vendor was a payment method code. We go back in here and check. So we're saying that payment terms code. So if I change a payment terms code, I should get an error that I can't update it as I'm not that user there. So we'll just go into our vendors. Okay, going to this one here. So this is our vendor here. So if I try and update the payment terms code, that, and I go and I try and exit. So I'm getting the prompt here now, as I don't have the field level security permission to update the payment terms code. So I just do a refresh on that, undo our change, because I'm not allowed to modify it. And then finally, just for our items, we just had there that for the item that the unit price, that we couldn't update the unit price. So again, similar idea. I just go to the items. Just take anyone there with the unit price. Again, just getting the prompt that that's the field level security rule is firing there on that record that I don't have permission to update the unit price. We just refreshed, undo that. Perfect. So that's the whole idea there, just behind the setting up the rules in SD Data Manager and GDPR. That just allows you to keep your data entry clean. These rules just to validate the data entry that's going into your records. And also just setting up field level security. Just easy ways to set up and control how your data is entered and how you can keep your data clean. So we'll just move on now and we'll just have a look at the GDPR component of SD Data Manager. And the GDPR component, it enables you to meet your GDPR requirements with the ability to log requests. You can respond on data held. You can also encrypt fields and you can redact data as well. So in the GDPR component, your first step is to define your monitored tables, so the tables that you're monitoring for your GDPR requirements. So here's just an example. We're just looking at our customer table, our contact table, and two of our employee tables, just as an example. So what you can do here, we'll just go in and have a look at the setup here. So again, you just select what table you want to monitor for GDPR requirements. You can choose the fields that you want monitored. So that just means that if you're going to run a GDPR request, log a GDPR request in SD Date and GDPR Manager, when you're logging it, it's going to just search through these fields here. So you can also add other fields on the table if you want, any of the fields here. But just for these examples here, I'm just keeping it simple. We're just going to monitor these fields. Also, you have an option to handle restrict requests. What you can do is you can set up a field number. I'm just taking an example of address 2. You'd possibly have in your own database, you'd have possibly a comment field that you could use specifically for GDPR comments for this. But just to show you today, I'm just using address 2 because it's a text field. And if you run a right to restriction, it's just going to stamp this field in the customer table just with GDPR, not restricted if they're unrestricted, or if you run a restriction request on it, the address is just going to be stamped with this text. So it just gives you a visual clue that for whatever reason someone has done has logged a restriction request on this, and also it's just going to set the blocked field to all. Also, as well, with when you're monitoring your GDPR, the tables for GDPR, you can also choose to monitor related tables, so tables that are related to the customer. So you can trace fields that are in your customer table down to the other tables in the system. So for this example here, I've just enabled the sales header as well. So that just means if we run a search on a certain customer, it's also going to search for the value we've entered down to the sales header table as well. And we have chosen just to monitor these fields. So say these 2 contact fields in the sales header table. Okay, so that's how you'd set up your monitoring for GDPR. So it's done per table. And if we just go back out here now, and we'll just do a few different requests. So if someone comes in and logs a request for information, so someone would want to have information, maybe, for example, on what you have in the system for a certain search term. So we'll just say, just do a right to information. I'm just going to use a search term I did earlier. So we're just going to search for this as a contact in the database and the contact information. So that's whoever has requested to make this request in your database to look for the right information. So we'll just say, just put down the user themselves. So we're just doing okay now. So this is just going to search through all the tables that we've flagged as being monitored for our GDPR requests. And we can see here it's after bringing back this search term that we've entered, our search phrase Andy Teal, and it's found him on the customer card. So we can have a look here. You can see there he's a contact on the customer card. We can also see that this search term has been found on this sales order. So we can just open the sales order here. And he will be as a contact, I'd say. Here we go on this order. So we can see the search phrase has been found on that order. It's also been found on these other orders and also on the contact here. So we can just have a look. So you can then someone has run this request and you can see that this is where all the search term has been found on these records in your database. So what we can just do then is we can have a report there. So you might just want to print off this report and give it to Andy Teal. So you can show him where this search phrase was found in your database. And that just gives you a printout there of a right to information report from the search phrase that you've entered in your database and all the records where this search phrase was found. Okay, so you've run off the report, you've spoken to the person who had logged the request for the right information, and you can just say then that that request has been completed. So that's our first one, right to information. You can also log a right to rectification. So this might just be someone wants some information updated in the database. It could be the company name or something. I'll just use kind of simple examples. Search phrase, I'll just get a customer here. Okay, we'll go with this guy here. Okay, and progressive home company. Just logged request to update. So we can see then that this search phrase has been found in the customer and these contacts. So say we just want to make a change to the customer card. Just choose to open. It opens the records there, and say they just want they want their company name updated. Oh, and that's because my rules are firing there. Sorry for the VAT registration. I'll just turn that one off. Turn that one off there for the moment. I don't want to update the VAT reg at the moment because we're just going to have a look at this. Okay. Okay, so we've updated the customer name there, and we can just mark this rectification request as complete. And all our lines have been completed as well. Nothing has been updated on this contact card, by the way. So you also have the option if more records are brought in that you're going to handle, you can also just delete the line here, just for going back on your own records. So that's the rectification request. The right to restrict was when we saw, I'll just go in here. On our customer table, I think we had it. Yeah, so we'll just take an example now just of running that right to restrict rule, a request in GDPR. And we just have two things that we're going to do if a customer is restricted. We're just going to update the address to, as I say, it's just a text field. You could possibly have your own GDPR comment field on your customer table if you wanted it. And we're going to set the blocked option on the card, customer card to all. So we'll just go and check a customer here again, just so I can get an example of customer who comes in and is asked for a restriction. Okay, so maybe we'll check this guy here. New concepts. Okay, so we can see they're not blocked at the moment, and our address to is blank. So again, imagine this is just a comment field we're going to be updating just for this example. So I'll just copy out that name, just save me time typing it up. Okay, so we want our right to restrict. So we're logging a right to restrict. Our search phrase is going to be for this, and our contact information is, what will we see? CFO in New Concepts Furniture. Okay, so we can we can delete these two lines here because we're only interested in the customer. And we'll just we'll run the restrict. I've showed you already there in here how the values were blank for both the address to field and for the blocked. So we'll just do restrict, choose to restrict that record. That's been completed, and we can just go in there and open, and we can have a look at, my goodness. Oh, because it's not in the blocked list now. New Concepts Furniture. new concepts furniture. There we are. So we can see now the blocked has been set to all, and we just have updated this text field in the customer card. So if you want to unrestrict at any stage, you can just choose to unrestrict here. And once you've finished there, this is marked this request as complete. So I'm just going to say no to that at the moment, but you do have the option there to mark it as unrestrict. So our other rule there, what else can we look at? I can show you the right to portability. I've just had logged one here earlier. So the right to portability is just to allow someone just to export the information that's been held on them in your system out to a file. So for this, I just chose this company here, did a search phrase, was on this Thomidus company. And if we just do, found the search phrase in this customer and in this contact. So if we just do execute here, so that's just going to export these records, these fields, out to a CSV file, so the user can see the files there. So I'll just, here we go. So that's just the records that it's exported there. So that's you can send then the CSV file off to whoever has requested the information. So I'll just save to that. Oops, sorry. And we can mark that then as complete. So that's that request that's been completed. So I suppose the last one we'll take a look at is we'll do the right to encryption. So with SD Data and GDPR Manager, you can respond to any encryption requests. So if we go and see, we'll do right to encryption. Again, we'll just enter our search phrase, and I'm just going to encrypt an employee record. So I just know that's the employee name. That's the search phrase we're looking for. Okay, so we can see then that this employee card has been returned. And I've set up just to encrypt on the date of birth. So I'll just go back and show you there now how that was set up. Okay, I'll leave that there. I'll go out to the rules here. Okay, so in the employee table, to set up encryption, you go into your monitored table here. This is our employee table, and any of the fields that you choose that you want to encrypt when a right to encryption has been logged, you just flag it here. So just to keep it simple, I'm just going to encrypt the birth date, the employee birth date. So we could see there that there was a employee birth date there on the card. So just edit this record. I'm just going to delete these lines. And we're just going to choose to encrypt. And we'll just open the card. So we can see here the birth date has been encrypted there. And if for whatever reason we might want to unencrypt, you also have that option. So you can choose to decrypt at a later stage. So you'd go back through your completed request and you just have a look and just reverse it. And we open it again. And we can see the birth date field there has been unencrypted. So that's just a very brief look, I suppose, through how using SD Data and GDPR Manager, how you can achieve your GDPR compliance. And And also then with the data manager component of SD Data and GDPR Manager, you can manage your data input using the rules and the conditions and the validations to keep your data clean without writing any code at all. So that's it. Anyone has any questions?
There was a question in the chat there, Alice,
Okay.
in that somebody was just requesting, do we have anything similar for Microsoft CRM, Dynamics 365 CRM?
We don't know. This is just
Okay.
this is only for use in Dynamics 365, not in CRM.
Okay, that answers that. Okay, perfect.
Right. As I say, you know, it's an easy app. I mean, you can install it in your a UAT database. It's easy to install from app stores or from extension management, even within your database. And as I said, there's user guide there. There's also an overview video as well, and just to get you started up and running and using the app. So I think that's it. And if anyone has any questions, if they want to email us, Aileen.
Yeah, perfect. And I'll be sharing out a webcast of this morning's session as well. You should receive that later on this afternoon, or as Alice said, you can reach out to Alice direct if anybody has any particular questions or wants to discuss any aspects of the app in more detail.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that's great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Aileen.
Thanks, Alice.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.